this is my stream, and welcome to my stream. Anything is possible at my stream. You can do anything at my stream. The infinite is possible on my stream. The unattainable is known on my stream. Welcome to my stream. This is my stream. Welcome to my stream. Welcome. This is my stream. Welcome to my stream. Welcome to my stream.
What's up everyone, Bradley Jack Design here with another lovely day of designing. Today we're going to make a Morant sports card. So I have pretty much everything I need. I didn't grab an auto of his, so we're going to grab that in case we want to put an auto on it. But pretty much what we're going to make is some sort of like an art card. A lot of sports cards, which I've talked about on here, are meant to be used for 50 players, and then you can put a signature in there. We'll figure something out. Let me just find an autograph of Morant real quick. Easiest place to find a photo or an autograph of a player is eBay. I'm looking for a National Treasures auto of Morant. Because those are usually look like this. You can find a nice signature pretty easily. Let's do it at 99. So essentially, I just want one that is theoretically not graded. But it doesn't really matter. We'll grab this one. Morant, image downloads, great. All right, so we have a thing. So like this is like a sports card. This is the kind of card we theoretically could design. This is National Treasures. It's got a spot for his college team, the name of the card, player, signature area, numbering, photo of player. That's pretty much what most sports cards are. We're gonna do something a little bit different. So I've got this photo of I already cut out and did a little bit of editing with, and then I've got another photo I clipped out as well. I didn't want to spend 6 hours or just an hour on here, you guys just watching me cut out these photos of especially with all of his hair. I also have a logo of the Grizzlies that we can use, and I did a little playing around to figure out what we might want to do for this. So I've got a general idea of how I want this to go, but I will be guided by what you guys suggest. So what I wanted to do was, this photo of you can see it's cut off at the top and bottom. So we're going to have this stretch the whole way like this. Maybe he's in the middle there. And then compositionally, this would be smaller. We can make him a little bit larger, just so we have a little bit of contrast between his face. I'm not covering up his face or anything. I usually like to tuck in people somewhere that looks nice. So we're going to put him like right here. But we might change it based on some stuff I was playing around with. So what I wanted to emulate. So I found this. Just like some random SpaceX thing. But I thought this silhouette with this halo behind him looked pretty cool. So I wanted to try something like that. So we're going to do that. We're going to make a black background, like that, and then we're going to completely ignore all this wonderful editing I did of this photo. What's up, Stormy Productions? Let's actually do that. So what I have set up right here, first off, is a 2000 by 2800 pixel dimension, because that's 2.5 by 3.5, which is the resolution of a sports card. Not resolution, the ratio of a sports card. So yeah, Jack. So I can show you a little bit of how I made it a little easier. Well, let's hop in here. I want to show you this a little bit. What's up, Kevo? So this is jaw cutout. It's not great, but it's better than what Photoshop wanted me to use. So I actually have these brushes down here that I use for hair. And I just made these. So I use this for hair. It looks like that. So I use these just at the very ends. So what I'll actually do is I'll have a lighter color below. And basically I'll just go in and I'll mask back in these areas, you know, like this. And I won't drag, I'll just click independently, kind of like this, and follow his hair. So that's pretty much what I did for this one. That's what I did for this guy as well, just to get the general look of his hair, because his hair is wild. Okay, so I'm actually going to make this black and white using a gradient map. Just because. Setting it to color is just going to make it black and white. You can do it however you wish. Then what we're going to do is we're going to basically edit this as if we were editing anything. So I'm going to kill the exposure, and we're going to add a border. What's up, Bradley? So I'm going to pop up a curves layer like this. We're going to set that, we'll set it to luminosity and see what that does. It really shouldn't do anything because it's black and white anyway. What we're going to do though is we're going to select, we're going to modify that selection. We're going to contract it. Let's do 3 pixels. And then we're actually going to use that as the layer mask. We're going to invert it so it's just on the outside like this. And I haven't figured out if I want it to feather or not, really. Usually I'll go in and do like a 3.5 feather. I'm going to make a new layer, and we're just going to fill that with white, and we're going to do the same thing. So it looks like that. Now this we might need to actually feather more or less. Actually, what I want to do is I want to set a blend if, and I don't want it to affect a lot of the darker darks. So what we're gearing up to do is basically saying the background is the light source for this. And these both have a slight mask on it. I'm gonna make these a little bit more. I'm gonna make it like 6.5. And the mask on this 6.5. So really what we're doing is we're setting up to have a background. Let me find just a couple things we can toss in the background to make it look like there's a light source coming from there. So I've got a gallery of just like images here. I'm just finding a quick lens flare that I have on here. Nothing terribly important. So here's this lens flare. Looks like that. You know, who cares? Just putting this in the background, but making it so you can kind of see that there is some sort of light source behind jaw. And I'm going to make this black and white with another gradient map.
Gradient map.
And then we'll just toss this up here like that. It's set to color. I'm going to set it to normal. And then in the gradient editor, we can pull this back a little bit. Probably all the way, actually. I'm actually going to set it to just normal's fine. Really what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a bunch of different things at that in the background. Just stuff to go in the back. So like just some like general dust. I don't want it to be outer space because that's what that's clearly what this is showing. SpaceX, outer space. But I don't want them in outer space. I've done a lot of random things that have to do with like things in space, and I was like, well, I don't really want to do that here. So I'm gonna add in just some dust and stuff. And then more things to... Is this the exact same one? I just grabbed the exact same thing. I want to do that. Alright, let's turn this one this way. Basically, I just want it so there's a lens flare in the back that you can see. At least that's it. This is normal. There. And I might make this lens a little bit larger so you can actually see some of that coming through. Great. Okay. This is what we got going on. So now what we want to do is I want to make Jaws... I want this to be... Really, I want it to be black. Is really what I want to happen. So let's make a black layer. We're going to take this. We're going to select, modify. We're going to contract. I'm going to do like 5 pixels. And we're going to mask to that. We're going to mask this to this selection. And we're going to feather this 10.6435 pixels. I don't know. Just a random number. Yeah, Lexi, check the chord first. It's a good call. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this a separate group, masked to the inside. And I'm going to group it again because I want to be able to... This is like a backwards way of masking things out. And really I should be using my tablet for this. I'm charging my headphones, which I usually have on. But they're at 10% battery. So they would have died by now. So I'm just charging them, but I want to use my tablet to figure some of this out. Except I'm on the wrong screen. Use the same pic of John Morant for the design back in January. The back photo or the forward photo? I think the forward photo is from his that like crazy shot he had the other day. The background photo is just like the most high definition photo that I could find. And I was like, okay, we're gonna use that then. Monitor 1. Okay, now we're on monitor 1. Great. I need my keyboard still. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use like 40% flow on both with black. That's too much. Let's do like 1 and 1. All I'm going to do is, and this might not look great for what I want to do, but I just want to paint back in a little bit of areas, and I don't think this is actually going to work. So let's do this the normal way I would do this, because that doesn't work. So we're going to use a curves layer. We're going to bring that down a lot. We're going to give it the same mask, but we're going to invert it because we want it to be on the inside, not the outside. And we're just going to take this exposure and we're going to drop this down to like -7. Now it's really freaking dark. So this is curved, so this is darkened. I mean, I have a ton of actual hard drives that I'm not using, to be honest. I have a bunch. They're just like lying around with random stuff on it. Because I've bought many, many hard drives throughout the year. Or throughout forever. We're going to dumb this down like beyond belief. And the exposure, we're actually going to go to like -10. Okay, so now you can barely see that jaw is even here. I'm trying to think. So I was playing around with this, and I don't know the best way to do this. I could probably just duplicate this layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this layer mask. Now it's just on here. And then we can just darken whatever we want. But really I just want to darken the inside. So let's do this. Let's fill this with black. Invert the selection, which really doesn't do anything. It really just paint black. But what we're going to do is we're going to fill in just these areas. So I want some of the edge to still be noticeable. But I want to make sure the inside is pure black. Oh, and I need to make sure I'm using a brush that has pressure sensitivity too, which I don't think I was doing. I mean, Lexi, you can find like hilariously cheap hard drives these days. You can find crazy hard drives for like $100 or even cheaper. What's the hardness is that? Hardness is 0. Okay, good. So we're gonna go like this. Just paint in black. Like that. So black is painted in. That is fine. Let's put this down here underneath these. These curved layers aren't really doing anything anymore because of the blend ifs. So we're gonna pop those back up. You can see how intense they are because it's on black. So what I want to do is I'm gonna grab the exposure layer. We're gonna contract that like 2 pixels. 2 pixels. I don't know why that took 6 years to do. Delete layer mask to this, and then we'll have that, and we'll have that bleed in 3.5 pixels. So now these will show up a little bit better if we go like that. Oh, if your hard drive's under warranty, that's even better. So now we have sort of a silhouette. It's a little dirty in some spots, so we're gonna fix that. But what we're really going to do is we're going to lighten up some of the other areas. But you can see this lighten doesn't do anything because it's on this black. But you can see just like how crazy this is. So I'm gonna go into the exposure and actually fix this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a very opaque brush. We're gonna do a 5% brush or a 10% brush. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna erase the exposure around some of these areas. And as you can see, it doesn't look like it's doing anything. And I think it's because of this black layer. Yeah, so this is what I want. So I want some of this on the edge to come across. Because I'm just trying to emulate what this thing I got inspired by. I'm just painting around the edges a little bit more. I'm doing it pretty haphazardly. I'm just picking and choosing where I want. I want to show a little bit of depth to this. So showing and having some of this bleed over is going to add some depth, hopefully. Some of these areas I might have to tweak. But we don't want this hard edge. So we have this really hard edge of this white, and that's bad. And I don't think we really want you to be able to see any of his face. I just want the silhouette of his hair and his beard, and that's how you know this is John Morant. So now if I turn this on, I can go in here and I can use a black brush. And go like this. So you can like kind of tell this is John Morant, kind of can't. So let's save real quick. Jaw sports card. So like that's, you know, kind of cool what we have going on there. Let's take this jaw. We're gonna duplicate it. We're gonna do a color overlay on this. We're gonna do a color overlay of white, which you can see is already giving it a little bit of a border. And then we're gonna blur this 33 pixels. Let's do 12, that's his number. So we're gonna blur 12. So then actually, I'm going to go into filter. Do I want to go to noise, add noise, or do I want to go to filter gallery and add grain? There's a lot of things we can do. I think I'm going to go here and I'm going to add a bunch of grain and just hit OK. So this is what we're looking at. There's a color overlay on it, which is causing an issue. So let's go to filter, filter gallery. A lot of grain. A lot of grain like that. That's what I want. I want it to sort of look like that. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to make a new layer. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to try and create basically a very grainy selection. So to do that, what we're going to do, okay, I know what we can do. A lot of thinking here on different ways that we can do this. We're gonna make a new layer that is white. We're gonna take this, we're gonna mask this white layer to that. We're gonna take this selection of the mask and we're gonna filter gallery the mask, which completely just broke a whole bunch of stuff. Filter gallery. This is filtering the mask, so we can add grain to a mask, which is fun. So I don't want to add grain, I want to add noise then. Yeah, so I want to add noise like this. And go like that. So now we have this layer of noise behind it. But I can go in here and I can go to layer, edit image, somewhere in here I can go to levels. Over here. I can pull this back in. Basically, we just made ourselves like a little bit of a gritty looking edge to it, which kind of looks nice. I probably could have just set this layer to dissolve and it would have done the same thing, but it's a little trickier. All right, so we got jaw here. I want to make sure we're full black here on his face, but you can still see some aspects that this is John Morant. Now up at the top, it's okay. I'm gonna move these out a little bit more. And it should clean that up a teeny bit. Okay, this is such a normal. I'm gonna set this to screen, which I guess I could have done from the get-go. That's fine. Okay. So now we have this funky thing. What are we gonna do with it? I don't know. Let's just really committing to this is what we're doing. Is the background actually black? Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm gonna add a little bit of a levels layer on top of the whole background just to make it a little bit more full black. And then over this whole thing, we're gonna add an adjustment, a color lookup of, what's Crisp Winter look like? Looks cool. We'll do 50%. Really matches the inspiration we have with SpaceX and stuff like that. So this kind of matches it. Up here, it's a little odd. Our selection, I'm not too fond of. So I'm gonna group this together. We're gonna mask it. And I'm just gonna get rid of some of it up there like that. I think that's better. All right, so now we have this weird background that we can do anything with this jaw photo. So I'm gonna center this jaw photo now. Let's go make new guides from the layout, put it there. Then we can center jaw like this. So the question now is, what do we want this sports card to be? You know, do we want it to have a special name? What do we want this to be? And we're going to try and add some depth with this as well. We can do that with this logo. You know, I've done pieces where, you know, the silhouette is like a portal to certain places. We should add, you want me to put prisms on here? What do you mean prisms? like Pink Floyd Prism stuff. I can get down with that. Pinterest. Let me pull Pinterest. Let me just search a Prism artwork. Like, this is cool. Like a bunch of rainbow refractions. All right, let's put something on this first. Let me think of how I want to do this. So I want jaw to be larger. The jaw's going to be pretty large. And then I have a bunch of parallels, is what we call them in the card community. But I have a bunch of these parallels. So we're going to toss some of these on here and see which makes sense. So like rainbow lines, like that's pretty funky. The ones that would make sense would be like one of these. So we can put this in the background of this. And then let's see what this looks like. I'm just gonna cycle through. Oh, see, like that looks cool. So I'm gonna cycle through these and just see what looks kind of nice. I feel like these all might be a little too intense. Overlay, of course, as usual, probably is going to look best. But I think I can do a little bit of something else. So I'm gonna set it to overlay because that looks cool. But we're gonna blur it. Let's motion blur it up and down because that's where the lines are already going. God, that looks cool. Doesn't that look cool? We're gonna do this instead. That looks awesome. What happens if we put this in front? That looks cool. And it's set to overlay, so it's not affecting any of the blacks, which is kind of fun. If I set it to screen, it'll be on top like that. Like, that's kind of fun. Oh, Darian. Okay, Darian, we're on the same page. No, we can go like this. I don't know, it's just like rainbows and stuff on the back. Like, that's cool. Let's group this together. Let's toss this back in the background again. Okay, I'm going to group this together so I can just have it as one, and I'm going to group these together. There, so I can move things around. Whoops, easier. Wait. What is this? Ah, I put this in here on accident. See, that's why I wanted to do this. So we can have this organized a little bit better. Back, jaw, whatever. Back round. Rainbows. Okay, these look cool. Let's distort these a little bit. We're going to turn this into a smart object. Set it to screen. Filter, distort. We're going to displace it with a
displacement map.
25 and 25. I already have one of these made. I didn't save it because I did it wrong. All right, we're gonna make a new document real quick. Same size. I downloaded a photo of the moon. I don't know, it was a photo of the moon found on NASA. Figured to make a cool thing. So we're gonna add a gradient map on top of this. I'm just gonna make it, oh, there we go, real contrasty. Combine these two together. Filter, we're gonna blur this. Gaussian blur, 3 pixels. We're gonna make sure we're in 8-bit, which we're in 8-bit. We're gonna save this as moon displace. Doesn't matter how it's spelled at all. Filter, blur, distort, displace. 25 and 25. Moon displace, enter. That's funky. It looks like the moon though. And the issue, and that's because it's on black. You can definitely tell that that's the moon. So we're not gonna do that. We'll just do this. It's like a Northern Lights thing. Maybe we can call this card Northern Lights. That might be something that we can call it. Cause, yes, okay, great, good. Good, great, grand, wonderful. Color lookup goes over the whole background. I want to paste this on top of this. Except we want to select, modify, contract. Let's contract 15 pixels. And then we're going to mask this, so then it has a little bit of some of the edge bleeding on, like that. Now we're gonna erase that from the edge though, because we don't want that to happen. We basically just want it to be reflecting somewhat of the colors around it, which looks pretty cool. So this looks kind of funky so far, so that's fun. I'm gonna toss on top of this, I have in one of these parallel packs black gloss. I actually don't want to use that black gloss. I have a different black gloss that's right here. So this is just gonna make it look like it is a sports card. Kind of like that. Set it to screen, adjustments, levels layer a bit, toss it on like that. Maybe make it 6%. Move it up in the corner. There, now it's a sports card, sort of. Okay, what should we call this card? I think what I want to do, and I generally don't do this, we're going to do it on this one though. We're going to give it a fill of 0. We're going to turn this to a smart object just because that's a stupid idea. We don't want to do that. We're going to give this a stroke. It's going to be an inner stroke of, let's do 50 pixels. 50 pixels, okay. So now the card has edges and it has a border, which is good to use. But let's give that border some pizzazz. Under my assets, I got a bunch of assets here. I got a mega pack I never made. Let's go here to the second parallel pack. I basically just want sort of silver. And this is the silver superfractor. That's not really what I want. I don't want mosaic. I just love this mosaic though. I think this just looks sweet. I think I hit print. So we're gonna bide my time to see what happens. It's like, that looks cool. Like these mosaics. Set to overlay at like 2%. It's duplicated, set to screen at like a little bit more. They just kind of look like that. But if we put these behind jaw, like this, you know, if we group these together and put them way behind here, kind of like that. I don't want to just toss a bunch of stuff at this. It's really what's happening. So like, oops. So I don't really want to use these. I want just like I want a silver. Cracked ice would work. I basically just want like a silver parallel because that is what a real card would have. It would have a border that looks like that. You know, like this. Like this card here is gold. It's gold. It's got a gold hollow around the edges. So I want to make it silver, maybe. Hey, Matt, look. We're doing a sports card. Partially did that because I figured you would hop in and you've been requesting it. So I said, let's do it for Matt. Stripey Rainbow Parallel? No, I don't want that. I want smart sparkles. I don't want silver sparkles. I just want a rainbow parallel, which is in here somewhere. I like how these are named. Stripey Rainbow Parallel. Small Sparkled Parallel. Silver Parallel. I want this. I think I want this. Let's toss this up here. We're going to toss this on top. We're going to set this to normal. And we're going to attach it to this. Okay, so now it looks like that, which is fine. I'm going to give this a stroke of a gradient, and I'm going to have the gradient be this silver. Okay. Then I'm going to set this to overlay. And multiply. Multiply it like 50%. That's what I want it to look like. Okay. Great. So we have a border going on. We've got all this cool stuff. This is what the card looks like right now. Now we can probably add some other effects and some stuff to go around jaw. I want front jaw. I don't have front jaw labeled. Front jaw. So for this, do I have this in here already? No. Okay, we're gonna go back. We're gonna ignore that. We're just gonna give him a little bit of a fringe just to emulate some of the other stuff going around. Let's do select, modify, contract. Let's do just 1 pixel. And then we'll do a curves layer. This is just gonna give him a little bit of a boost like that. Toss it in there, invert. Pop this up so you guys can see it a little bit better. We don't need that up. So this is just all it's doing. Tiny little fringe around him. Looks kind of nice. And then we'll probably do the same thing with the background, with the colors. I think we can probably try and get those to impact him as well. So we're going to make this white. We're going to do the same thing. I found it just adds a little bit more of a nice edge to it, but we need to have a little bit of a feather or else it's going to look terrible. So we're going to feather these 3.5, 4.5. Okay, save. Great. Now usually what I would do on this, if this is backlit, is I would have the front of him to be more would be darker because it's a backlit source, but I really don't want that here because it's sort of black. So we're just going to grab this. We're going to toss it on top here. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We'll toss it here. And we're only going to toss it there for now because we're going to add a layer here where I take this nice fancy brush. Good, good. All right. And we're just going to hit him with a little bit of color. Actually, usually what I would do is I would select a color and move it over here to add a little bit of color to it. But instead, I'm going to use the stamp tool because I can just grab here and go like this. Theoretically, I can go like this and it will hit on that color. Now it's doing it very subtly because I have it set to 20% and 20%. So I actually couldn't tell if it was doing what I wanted, but it is. So we can take this, go right here, paint. Now I'm doing it at an angle. If I go straight up and down like this, it's gonna follow along. So that's good. It's kind of what I want.